So, Sebastian Vettel is retiring from Formula 1. You may be over it, you may be in floods of tears, but the F1 world moves on, and now the big question is, who pulls the short straw and has to race alongside Lance Stroll next year? Hey there guys, I'm Will, welcome to FP1, and with Seb leaving what once looked to be a bit of a dead driver transfer market, has suddenly become much more interesting. Aston are a bit of an odd team at the moment. They may have wads of cash, yet they're run by an android and a man with a funny name, meaning they find themselves as the 9th fastest car on the grid in 2022. This makes their driver choice for 2023 all the more interesting. They'll likely want some experience to replace Sebastian Vettel, but then again, who with experience will want to sit in that Aston Martin car? With that said, I've come up with a short list. Here are Aston's options. So first up, let's get one name out of the way. On paper, this seems like a very logical choice. Hulk already knows the team and has already stepped in when Vettel got the illness that cannot be named at the start of the year. This would also be his final shot to get back on the grid. At 34, he's already at risk of being coaxed into the Formula E retirement home. And with most of the other teams having a junior roster to look to, there's no other feasible option for him to return to the sport. This would also work for Aston. Not only do they get a solid, dependable driver, they get one that's already integrated within the team. And one who's German. But what does that matter? Now, it's only been mentioned about 5 billion times, but there are several big German car manufacturers considering entering Formula 1. And while Porsche looks set to buy a majority stake in Red Bull, Audi's landing spot is far less certain. It seems like the most likely candidates for a tie-up would be Sauber, currently Alfa Romeo, or Aston Martin. And in this case, having a German driver would certainly help sweeten any deal made between the car companies. Lawrence selling the team to Audi could also free up the second seat currently engulfed by Lance Stroll. See, everybody wins. But let's say Hulk gets passed up on again. Who else could take that seat? Well, sticking with the German theme, why not Mick Schumacher? Now, many people have called me an idiot for thinking this, but just hear me out for a second. When I look at Aston Martin and the Haas Formula 1 team, I see two teams that have made many grave mistakes in the last few years. But when I look to the future, if any of them were to emerge as a proper front runner, my money's on the green guys. Sorry, Gunther. Haas may have the quicker car for now, but given their budget, I do question how sustainable that is. And though things have admittedly improved in recent races, Mick's tendency to conduct surplus crash tests haven't made the team particularly happy with him this year. Him moving to Aston would give them the German driver that they might want, and of course the Schumacher name. For Mick, meanwhile, he gets to follow in both his mentor and his dad's footsteps. Remember that the outfit were once Jordan back in the day. Oh, how far they've fallen. And just to add to this rumour, Lawrence Stroll reportedly asked Vettel who he would want his replacement to be, and Seb said Mick Schumacher. Not that that's much of a surprise, let's be honest. So what might stop this deal from going through? Well, just one word here: Ferrari. Scuderia would likely not be best pleased with Mick leaving a Ferrari-affiliated team, especially to move to one powered by Mercedes engines. Though if you think about it, with Sainz and Leclerc locked down for at least the next 2 years, what are Mick's chances of a spot there? And would it maybe be better to cut ties and forge his own career? That'll probably be a bit controversial, but hey, you should have come to expect that from me by now. But let's say Aston don't want to go with a German driver. Well, what about Daniel Ricciardo? The Aussie hasn't had an amazing time in his short McLaren stay, and though he's committed himself to one, probably final year at the Woking outfit, could that open door and possibility of a fresh start entice the Honey Badger a little bit? Sure, Aston would be a step back, but he'd likely become the priority driver in that team, meaning the car would be tailored more towards his needs than they are currently at McLaren. For Daniel to see results, though, he'd likely be waiting a few years, and then it's down to whether Daniel wants to stay in Formula 1 for that long. Ricciardo has mentioned previously how McLaren could very likely be his last F1 team, so would he want to make the switch in the first place? I'll leave that up to you in the comments. So those three were probably my safe bets for Aston to go for raw talent in 2023, but there's always the chance they could go in the opposite direction and sign a rookie. Now, in my opinion, a newbie plus Lance Stroll would end in absolute chaos. But this is also Aston, so I wouldn't be totally surprised if they went down this route. Let's open with the obvious one. Oscar Piastri, 2021 F2 champion and currently in dire need of a seat in Formula 1. His current landing spot seems to be Williams, though with Logan Sargent now picking up form, would they want to pass up on one of their own for the Australian? That would leave Aston as his sole landing spot, so though it wouldn't be a great car, it at least gets his foot through a door that's rapidly shutting him out. The lack of pressure may also help him in his first full season in the sport. That said, it didn't do Mick much good, so we'll have to wait and see. But if not Piastri, there's only one other feasible rookie option the team could take, and instead of the 2021 champion, why not go for the 2022 one? Now, Felipe Drugovich hasn't taken the F2 crown just yet, though it would take an almighty cock-up at this stage to see him lose it now. Felipe's also secured himself an FP1 outing with the team, and provided this goes well, you never know, you could see the Brazilian on the grid for 2023. So now we've gone through all the options, who do I actually think will replace Sebastian Vettel at Aston Martin in 2023? Well, that answer should be simple by now. What's Pastor Maldonado doing these days? Jokes aside, I'm going to still stick with what I said in my driver predictions video from about a month ago, and that's Mick Schumacher replacing his mentor at the Silverstone-based team for 2023. As for what this means for his ties with Ferrari, I haven't a clue, and in all honesty, I can see that getting, well, very Italian. But that's my opinion, and because this is the F1 community, you'll all want to disagree with me, or just call me fat. Yeah, there's been a lot of those recently. How very imaginative of you. In all seriousness though, let me know who you think will take Seb's spot in 2023. And as always, I'll try and get back to as many of you and keep the debate flowing. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this in the future. A huge shout out to all my patrons as well for making all this work possible. And if you want to help out in that regard, or just follow any of my other social media channels, all the links for that can be found down in the description below. That's all from me though. I'll see you on Sunday for the comedy review of the Hungarian Grand Prix. But until then, have a good one.